Alright son, I know you're one of the best, but the definition of this game is unfair, random, brutality, so you're not going on the field until you learn the basics. This is the main game interface. This image will greet you every day from now on the course of this operation. As you can see, there are a number of buttons on the screen. From the top left and going down counterclockwise, these are the calendar. These show you how many days there are left until the mission cutoff time. You can click it to skip a few days if you want to let your soldier rest or to burn off some heat. The team management panel. This shows you the soldiers you currently have and their stats. You can click a soldier in order to add them to your current active squad. You can only have 4 soldiers on one squad. This dog tag represents your career panel. You can see your stats as a commander over here, as well as any other matters that you have got. From this button you can start your deployment. We'll go back to it in a second. You can always relax with a cup of coffee while reading the wiki of this game. You can click this telephone in order to progress to the next phase of the operation. The chance of progression is dependent on the amount of intel you've got. At the beginning that's 0, so we'll have to get going. Now if my operatives were successful, you probably got to this video by clicking this button up here. Okay, let's start our first mission. This is your squad customization panel. From here you can choose what weapons and gear each and every one of your soldiers will have. At the beginning the options will be limited, so I'll leave you to experiment with that. It is however mandatory for at least one of your soldiers to have one radio. By selecting a soldier and then clicking the skills button, you can allocate different skills to your soldiers. For example, I allocated some spotting skills to my sergeant. When you are ready, press go. You will be deployed somewhere in Laos 1969. On your top right corner is your Covert Overt indicator. This is a very important indicator as it shows whether your enemies are aware of your presence in the battlefield. As you are deployed, the button will go overt, which means that the enemies will go searching for you. You can pan around your camera using W, A, S and D or the arrow keys. You can move your soldiers one by one by left-clicking them and then left-clicking again where you want them to move. Additionally, you can select them by pressing the 1, 2, 3 or 4 button. Finally, you can select them all by pressing 5 and move them where you want them to go. You can use the M key to bring up your map. This is very important because it shows you where your soldiers are located as well as the landing zone. Once you have found an isolated and quiet place, wait until your overtness goes away. By hovering your mouse over your soldiers, you'll see a number of indicators. These are, from left to right, a picture of his lovely face, his name, his health indicator, his ammo indicator, his bulkness indicator, and his rank. Below that there's also the weapon he's currently using and whatever gear you have assigned him to. On the bottom right of your screen is your orders button. From here you have a number of orders that you can give to your soldiers. From left to right these are your weapons free indicator. Now you have to remember that this is a recon operation, so for the most time this button will remain off. The use gear button. This button can be pressed in order to use all the various gear that you have equipped your soldiers. Some gear like the flak jacket or the combat knife are passive, so they do not require active use. Some gear like the medical supplies can be used on your own soldiers. And finally there's the gear that can be actively deployed. However, the most important usage of the use gear button is to activate the radio. You can click your radio guy and use gear button and then click the radio in order to bring up your radio panel. From here you can turn it on and you can look at all the available options that you have to call. Further to the right is the carry button. You can use this button to carry wounded or dead soldiers. Next up is the collect intel button. You can use this to collect intel from various enemy assets. Additionally, you can use it to collect intel from dead enemy soldiers. And finally there's the use secondary weapon option. You can click this button in order to tell your soldiers to switch to their secondary weapon. Now sometimes you will be faced with the inevitable and you will have to go weapons free. By clicking this button you allow your soldiers to engage of will any target they see fit. When you feel like you had enough, open the radio panel and request a dust off at the main LZ. At the end of the mission you will be greeted with this image. Now we haven't talked much about intel yet, so we're going to do it here. Intel is important in order to progress to the later parts of the game. First and foremost, you can obtain intel by spotting enemies. Each enemy you spotted grants you 1 intel. Be careful though that killing the enemy will nullify this gain. You can also simply find raw intel on the field. Each raw intel that you find grants you 5 intel points. Additionally, you get 1 intel for each 10% of the map that you have covered. Apart from the intel, your soldiers also get experience, and you also get experience yourself as a commander. As you can see, we just got promoted. Now finally you have to remember that this is Mud and Blood Recon, not Mud and Blood Rambo. Going out there shooting everyone like a rookie will only get you a lot of heat, which will eventually get you killed. Did I make myself clear?
Sir, yes, sir!
That's the sound I like to hear. I'll see you on the battlefield, soldier.